this is Paul Chek, and today I thought I'd talk about a very interesting topic, a topic that some look at, but most only look at when they're not getting the results they want, or they're in pain, or they're in some kind of a crisis. The topic today is muscles, functional or dysfunctional. So I'm going to take a little approach here that is very congruent with my teachings, and if you want more information on how to do a more comprehensive analysis along the lines of what I'm sharing here, feel free to go to my institute, C.H.E.K Institute, C-H-E.K Institute.com, and in the correspondence courses you will find a course titled Advanced Program Design, which I do not recommend you do unless you have a solid grasp of the concepts of reps, sets, load, tempo, and rest periods covered in my program design course. So you have program design, reps, sets, loads, tempo, and rest periods, and then advanced program design. These concepts I'm sharing here come from advanced program design. So today what I want to do is look at the concept of building muscles and all the things that go with it, and share some concepts so that you can begin to ask yourself, is what I'm doing functional, i.e. contributing to my desired goal, dream, or outcome, or is it dysfunctional because possibly I'm not really clear on where the dividing line between functional or dysfunctional is, or maybe I'm caught in a dogmatic mindset or a fixed belief about something, or maybe I'm caught in my own fear and I'm trapped for other reasons which we'll highlight on. So to begin with, before we can determine if any exercise activity, muscle building, strength building, etc. is functional, we must know what it is that the individual is trying to accomplish. Otherwise, we can only make our own value judgments on somebody else, which really turns out to be just a big pain in the ass for everybody at the end of the day. So the first thing we've got to do is get our first 4 steps clearly identified. Otherwise, the rest of it means nothing. So first and foremost, what is your dream? So today I'm using a fictitious human being who has said, Paul, I want to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. So their goal in this example is to get in shape to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. By the way, I have a fair bit of experience with people climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. I trained the first female wheelchair athlete ever to make that climb in a wheelchair, and with her I also trained a girl with a below-knee amputee who also made it, and a team of other people, including my wife, that all made it up and down, so that was pretty cool. And that, by the way, is a DVD called Over the Top that I think is available through the C.H.E.K Institute. You can see the whole thing on film. It's quite cool. So once you know what your dream is, the next thing, and this is a common thing people forget, you must identify who is on your dream team. Many people might think, well, if I'm climbing Mount Kilimanjaro by myself, there's nobody on my dream team. But remember, we have family members that support us. We may need help from bosses and managers to get time off, to train, etc. We may need sponsors to support us. We may have kids that don't get to see us nearly as often because we're training so much. So before you can really determine whether or not a dream is realistic, you also need to evaluate whether or not the team that's going to be supporting you or the people that are going to be affected by your choices are congruent with your dream. If you don't do that, you can have the problem that many athletes do, and that is all sorts of people in their family or social circles that are putting the brakes on them while they're trying to accomplish their dream due to a lack of bringing harmony into the dream team. The way you bring harmony into a dream team is you always establish what it is that they get out of the experience. So if you make it to the top of Mount Kilimanjaro, what's in it for them? It's natural for us to want some level of reciprocity. If someone's going to sacrifice to support you, there should be some level of reciprocity in that sacrifice, or people are not likely to keep doing it. And if they do keep doing it, we know they have some kind of a psychological imbalance that will need to be addressed later. So first of all, what's your dream? Here we're going to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. Who's the team? Today I'm the team. What needs to be balanced? And that will become more apparent once we go through this, but this would require an assessment from somebody with adequate skills, such as a CHEK practitioner. what choices need to be made relative to the way you're living now compared to the way you've got to live to accomplish the dream effectively. And those choices are going to be designed to bring about the balance that will get you to the top of the mountain, but those choices will have to be categorized into core values. So your 4 doctor core values are Dr. Happiness. What is my dream? Here you go, what your dream is. Also, what do I need to do to live as a mountain climber? So what are the values, or what is the way that I want to live that exemplifies my objective? So what is your stated dream, and what is your ideal scene? How much rest do I need in introspection? How much movement and what type? And what sort of dietary changes do I need to make to fuel my dream effectively? Once those 4 things are in place, we can then move to the next level of our assessment. So here I've listed a variety of qualities that are relevant to most athletic endeavors, or even what you might call non-athletic endeavors. Someone's dream was just to get in shape to play with their kids. These things would all apply in general. So we're going to look at the quality of strength, endurance, energy, flexibility, speed, power, agility, postural function, metabolism and detoxification, and vanity. In some of these I've used basically a guesstimated rating scale. The accuracy of the rating scale is not so critical for the discussion. It is if you're training somebody, and there's techniques for doing this in my course, Advanced Program Design. What I want to do is just make some key points today that I think may be very helpful to all of you out there exercising to accomplish any dream. So, with regard to climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, we have to look at strength. Functional. Well, body weight has a question mark. How heavy is your pack? If you're going to carry a 100-pound pack, you're going to need to have enough strength to carry your body weight and the weight that you're going to carry. And remember, you're going to be climbing, so I've put in here approximately based on 6 hours of climbing a day. So if you think a lot of climbing is really one lunge after another if you're climbing up hills. So you could need to have a fairly high level of strength and endurance depending on how much more than just your body weight you're going to carry, which would influence me as your conditioning coach as to how strong I needed to make you. Here under dysfunctional, we have a question mark. So if you're getting yourself into the gym and you're trying to squat and lunge so you can get 3 times body weight or 2.5 times body weight, you're going to be putting way too much time into strength development relative to the other qualities that need to be developed. Therefore, once you cross that line, you're throwing yourself into an imbalance and your program's technically becoming dysfunctional. So each one of these that you actually have a dysfunctional rating on becomes a negative force relative to your accomplishing the dream. Endurance. Well, this is an aerobic activity. We're going to go 6 hours a day, but there is going to be some strength activities. You're going to have to lift things. You're going to have to climb up steep things. So it's not just like walking or jogging for 6 hours. So you see it's aerobic plus, meaning there's going to be some lactic acid developed, so fast glycolytic energy system. There's going to be some anaerobic activity. So how aerobic? Well, we know it's quite aerobic, but we also know we need some strength. So it becomes dysfunctional if our aerobic training weakens us too much. And it also becomes dysfunctional if we don't do enough aerobic training and maybe we can't keep up with our team. So, energy. Exercise should produce an energetic surplus. Remember, you don't get stronger while you're training, you get stronger while you're resting. Training is the force of catabolism that breaks the body down, and it's Dr. Quiet and Dr. Diet that are the rebuilding or the yin factors. So when we're looking at energy, a general rule of thumb that I borrowed from Charlie Francis is if an athlete's training properly and recovering properly, they should make somewhere between a 1 to 3% gain in performance from workout to workout. That will drop down as you get higher and higher and approach your genetic potential. But as a general rule of thumb, I found this to be very reliable. If you are not able to get a 1 to 3% strength gain for any reason, it usually indicates that you are overtraining, but it could be that you're not training enough either. Typically what I see is overtraining in athletes more so than undertraining. Flexibility. Well, I'd say that to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, you need a 6 out of a relative 10. We'll call a gymnast a 10. You need to at least have a 6 to make a climb like that. So if your training is increasing your flexibility to make you into a gymnast or an advanced yogi, but your goal is to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, you could be wasting a lot of time that could be spent developing these other qualities. Speed. Well, you're pretty much going to be walking up that hill. I doubt you're going to be running much with a 100-pound pack on your back unless you're getting chased by a lion or a tiger. So 4 out of 10 would be enough. So if your speed training is taking you in the direction of getting more than that or less than that, you're probably making a poor investment with your time and energy. Power. I would say for a climb like that, 5 out of 10. If you call 10 power lifter and 0 dead, well, a 5 for power would probably be adequate for that climb. So if you're over or underdeveloping strength relative to our perceived rating, you're wasting time and you're diverting your efforts ineffectively. And if that keeps happening, we have to look at the psychological profile to see why it is that you're so fixated. Agility, 7 out of 10. Climb like that, you got to step sideways, down holes. Believe me, when my wife's team went up with 2 handicapped athletes, they needed a lot of agility, as you will see if you watch the film. If you're overtraining with agility or undertraining, again, you're detracting from your own success. Postural strength, for a trek like that with a heavy pack on your back, you're going to need about an 8 out of 10 for postural strength. So here we can see if you have an 8 out of 10 for postural strength and you're doing too much strength training, chances are good that you're going to be developing the fast twitch or the phasic system at the expense of the postural system. So you'll be strong, but you'll be a royal pain in the ass because you're going to be hurting all the time in places like your neck, shoulders, and low back due to poor postural strength. Metabolism and detox. If we're training properly for a climb like this, we need to make sure that we're not doing too much muscle building or too much anaerobic training, because it'll start increasing our metabolism and making us hungry and inefficient, and it could put more muscle weight on that is efficient to carry up that hill. Just like if you make a gymnast too muscular, they can't jump high enough and they actually have a detraction in performance. So we need efficient. If you get inefficient, you're in trouble. And vanity. Well, I gave the mountain climber a 2 out of 10 for vanity. I mean, usually you're covered in clothes, and who really cares what you look like? I mean, if you're out there, you're probably not shaving. You're living like a caveman a little bit. So if you're over-focusing on vanity, I would simply say that you're distracted if your goal is to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. But unfortunately, what I see even with world-class athletes is almost every one of these things gets sacrificed for vanity. And that's sad, but it's very, very true. So in summary, what I've tried to share with you today is that you must know what your dream is. You must get clear on what needs to be balanced, what choices need to be made, establish values that are dream affirmative, make sure that your dream team's aware of what you're doing and that there is some level of reciprocity clearly stated for them. And then look at these factors, and if you want to learn more, check out my advanced program design course at CHEK Thanks for joining me today. I hope that your training is more functional after my little lesson today. Great spirit. See you soon.